Hello everyone, Tactical Lich here. I'm a simple man. I see a Wood Elf melee rush battle, I'm gonna check out the replay, and today we have a replay from the norm featuring a Penta War Dancer melee rush. The War Dancer front line here, 5 of them in fact, supported by a few units of mobility. Glade Riders with spears, the Wild Hunters of Kurnos, Wraiths of the Frozen Hearted with their Frostbite and Chilling Aura to slow down enemies, plus a bit of Frenzy to add a bit more damage output on these Dryads. Behind them, there are some Hawkeyes of Drakira with their Discouraging Shots, leading the army Orion, the leader of the Wild Hunt, supported by a Life Spell Singer with Earthblood and Regrowth. For the other side of the battlefield, we have the Chaos Dwarfs with a lot of bodies, a lot of shields, and a lot of armor. A front line of Goblin Laborers, backed up by a second line of Chaos Dwarf Warriors, and then a third line of Hobgoblin Archers. Definitely a very good design to deal with enemy archer lines, using the Goblin Laborers and Chaos Dwarf Warriors to screen out enemy units, and then the Hobgoblin Archers will be peppering enemy frontline, especially the lightly armored Wood Elves with their sheer volume of firepower. Their flaming projectiles will also be good against enemy trees. Now, for the rest of the Chaos Dwarf army, there's a bunch of Hobgoblin Wolf Raiders with spears and a ton of chevrons. All of them are actually gold chevron up, so super elite Chaos Dwarf chaff. Elite chaff mobility, that is definitely an oxymoron here, but that is indeed what these Hobgoblin Wolf Raiders are with their gold chevrons. They're supported by another unit of elite cavalry, this time the Hashut Stark Ravagers, actual elites, with Bulls and Tyranners with dual axes and a shield-breaking projectile. Leading the army in the skies, a Sorcerer Prophet of Death with Spirit Leech and Fate of Buna. Of course, they're coming in with the Chalice of Blood and Darkness for that healing, but also they're on a Lamassu mount, so a couple spells of the Shadow Lore bound to the Wild Beast, the Withering and Enfeebling Foe. That's it for the army builds. Now let's get the battle started. For a lightly armored faction like the Wood Elves, speed is of the essence with their melee rush. Wolf and Mist has been turned on here, giving the War Dancers that 40% missile resistance at the sacrifice of 24 melee defense, allowing them to tank some damage if the Hobgoblin Archers are firing at them. Glade Riders doing a cheeky charge among the Goblin Labor frontline there, doing some nice impact damage, and quickly retreating back, allowing the War Dancers to filter in and start cutting down opponents in melee combat. The problem is that the Woven Mist is still on these War Dancers, and their melee defense is down to a puny 14. That means the Chaos Dwarf units can do a lot more damage against these supposedly more elite War Dancers in melee combat. Even the Goblin Laborers will have a better time fighting against the War Dancers, especially when there are some Chaos Dwarf Warriors piling in alongside the Hobgoblin Wolf Raider counter charge. Now, however, over here, War Dancers duking it out against only Goblin Laborers, and they should have no problem blitzing through those Goblins because of their offensive stats with all that anti-infantry bonus. On the flanks there, the Hawk's Eyes of Drakira are firing, this time at the Hashut Stark Ravagers, doing some pretty decent damage, while the Wraiths of the Frozen Hearted and the Wild Hunters of Kurnos are all moving on to the flanks, threatening the backline of the Chaos Dwarfs. Here comes a Hawk's Talon from Orion, bombarding the Chaos Dwarf Warriors, who are stacked up on top of the Goblin Laborers, doing some pretty good damage, while the War Dancer frontline, some of them already breaching through the Goblin Labor defenses. Wraiths of the Frozen Hearted going after the Hobgoblin Wolf Raiders, who are slowed down to a grinding stop at 37 speed only due to the Frostbite attacks and the Chilling Aura. 30% of slow on each effect, total of 60% speed debuff onto a single Hobgoblin Wolf Raider, making them as slow as a regular infantry. While the Wild Hunters of Kurnos obliterating these poor Hobgoblin Wolf Raiders, and the backline of the Chaos Dwarfs are completely undefended. War Dancers pushing in, using the Woven Mist to tank those incoming point-blank shots, while the Wild Hunters of Kurnos are going in for a hammering charge onto the Wraiths of the Frozen Hearted Anvil. War Dancers are duking it out against some of the Chaos Dwarf Warriors just fine, while some Goblin Laborers breaking in the front line, and this is a collapse of the frontline defenses of the Chaos Dwarfs, especially when a lot of these Goblin Laborers and Chaos Dwarf Warriors are being lured out by some fleeing War Dancers, now out of position, unable to protect the missile assets. The Hashut Dark Ravagers are trying to fight for their lives here, but surrounded by Wild Hunters of Kurnos and being shot by the Hawkeyes of Drakira, their leadership is dropping, and soon they will be running away from battle as well. Wraiths of the Frozen Hearted now stopping the Chaos Dwarf Warriors from reinforcing this fight, and Orion in the mix, providing that very crucial terror to break off these Hashut Dark Ravagers and any low leadership Chaos Dwarf units, and that is a very expensive mobility gone from the Chaos Dwarf army. Fate of Buna was being dumped on the Wild Hunters of Kurnos earlier and draining away a lot of their HP, counteracting that regrowth, but here comes more healing from the live caster, while the rest of the Chaos Dwarf army are still foot slogging back to try and reinforce the Sorcerer Prophet of Death in this fight. Now, the Sorcerer Prophet of Death, with the support of the Chaos Dwarf infantry, seems to be doing some damage to Orion, but he does not want to stay in this fight for too long and will be backing out of here. Revs of the Frozen Hearted are jumping into the fight against this blob of Chaos Dwarf Warriors, and a Hawk's Talon from Orion will be bombarding these blobbed up concentrated forces of the Chaos Dwarfs, doing some very nice AP damage. At the back there, the War Dancers now chasing down the retreating Goblin Laborers, and the Chaos Dwarf Warriors, these ones are trying to fan out and intercept the War Dancers, allowing the Hobgoblin Wolf Raiders to maybe charge and run down another target. However, the problem is that Chaos Dwarf Warriors, this blob over here, has been completely surrounded by Wood Elf forces being slammed in the back by the Glade Riders, and War Dancers now having their Wolverines turned off are much more efficient and effective in melee combat. Chaos Dwarf Warriors, despite their solid leadership, do not have immune to psychology, and that means the nearby terror presence of Orion is enough to make them back off early as well. Hawkeyes of Drakira here being harassed by the Hobgoblin Wolf Raiders, but thankfully the Glade Riders are still nearby to help defend them from the Chaos Dwarf mobility threat. The Wild Hunters of Kurnos, though, I think they're running low on HP, but they should still be around, or maybe not. The Fate of Buna they received earlier did severely damage the unit, and they were running low on HP the last time we saw them, so no more Wild Hunters of Kurnos with their anti-large armor-piercing damage, not that there's a lot of large targets for them to fight now. Hawkeyes of Drakira are now just looking for the most expensive target to shoot at, for example the Sorcerer Prophet of Death, but here comes the Hashut Dark Ravagers, but they will probably get finished off by a single volley from the Hawkeyes of Drakira. Even if they charge into melee combat, they'll still die to the defensive counterfire of the Hawkeyes of Drakira. Glade Riders and Hobgoblin Wolf Raiders are duking it out in a melee fight, but as you can see, most of the Chaos Dwarf forces are gone, and the only thing holding up the balance of power is their Lord. Sorcerer Prophet of Death is still trying to delay the inevitable here, with some reinforcements of the Hobgoblin Wolf Raiders trying to pick up isolated elements of the Wood Elf forces, but as soon as the Hobgoblin Wolf Raiders are tied down in melee combat, they will just get finished off by the remaining Wood Elf forces. The Sorcerer Prophet of Death is still going after the Hawkeyes of Drakira, but the Hawkeyes of Drakira are just shooting and scooting, delivering a bunch of armor-piercing missiles into the face of the Chaos Dwarf Beast. While the Sorcerer Prophet is distracted, the rest of the Wood Elf forces just picked off the remnants of the Chaos Dwarf army, tipping the balance of power into army losses, securing victory for the Wood Elves. GG to both players, and that was a rather quick game as the Wood Elf player Lenorm here quickly blitzed through the Chaos Dwarf front line with their melee advantage here. The War Dancers getting quite some value, and also this Wraiths of the Frozen Hearted running through the Hobgoblin Archer line with the help of the Wood Elf mobility. Wild Hunters of Kurnos as well, bricking a bunch of Hobgoblin Wolf Raiders with their anti-large, and also the Hashut Dark Ravagers as well, doing some significant damage. Without the Hobgoblin Archers, Hawkeyes of Drakira were able to just freely fire at the most expensive target in the late game, shutting down the Sorcerer Prophet of Death, while on the other side, the Chaos Dwarf army, the Chaos Dwarf infantry was somewhat out of position, unable to protect the Hobgoblin Archer line against any backline intrusion like the War Dancers or some of the Glade Riders and Wild Hunters of Kurnos, and unfortunately losing that missile DPS in the late game, unable to bring themselves victory. However, some of these Hobgoblin Wolf Raiders did some really good work throughout the game here, running down War Dancers and Glade Riders and whatnot, just not quite enough to carry the game despite them trying their best. And yeah, that's it for today's battle. I hope you all enjoyed this Total War Warhammer 3 multiplayer battle, and if you want to see similar content, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Tactical Lich signing out.